Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Disney Lorcana trading card game unboxing. This is for Gateway Endless Adventure Awaits. So this is a brand new starter set basically, but it's a two-player learn to play game. So we've already had the regular starter sets you could pick up, which are more or less pre-constructed decks. They already have everything you have in here. This is actually a way to teach you how to play the game step by step. Um, Whether you're one person teaching somebody else or you're two people just sitting down to learn how to play the game. It has some really neat features in it. Has um, a couple of small decks to start with, and then as you play over a course of a couple of games, you add new cards to your deck, so that way you're learning the basics and then you're adding new elements into the game. We'll take a look at what's all in here. I think this is a really cool idea. I miss that more card games don't do stuff like this. I guess I can understand a game that's just coming out. They might not. Hey, they don't know if they're going to be around in 2 years, so they might not worry about it. But even something like Magic doesn't really do this anymore. They don't have like a lot of the starter sets. They figure, oh, you can hop on Magic Online or something like that, or Arena, and learn how to play. It's like they don't have basic decks. Even they used to have their core sets that were like simplified for newer players, and then you could expand upon them. Now they just decide, oh, players don't want simple stuff. And again, this isn't necessarily like the dumbed downest cards, but how they teach you to play is a very good way to do this. And I think lots of games need more things like this, because it treats this more as like a board game that you're picking up and you're learning how to play, as opposed to like, here's a collectible card game. So it kind of takes a unique element to that. So what also is interesting though is this comes out after set 5 before set 6. So it's kind of also interesting that they waited 5 expansions to release a how to play set of the game. But it's still really gonna be nice, because it can, hopefully it'll be around in stores for a while. It's not just like this came out and then it comes off the shelf next year. Alright, so we're gonna actually go ahead and look through here and go through and see what's all in here. I don't usually do a like full unboxing like this, but we're gonna have the rules to begin with. Read this first, of course. Then we actually have the guidebook. This is going to explain kind of how the game progresses after you've learned how to play. I looked through these already. Then we have 2 deck tip books. So these are really fun. So we have, we're going to have one deck that's going to be an Elsa Mickey deck. So it's Ruby and Sapphire. And then the other one is going to be Stitch and Maleficent. So it's Amber and Amethyst. So the only 2 colors we don't get are green and gray, or emerald and steel. We get 4 of the decks. It would have been kind of neat if they'd had a 3rd deck in here set up like that, so that way you could play around and test out each different deck or different color, and then you can even maybe mix and match. But I get it. On the back, they'll have the deck list, which we'll go through and look at that stuff. Inside, we're going to look at these a little bit more. They're just explaining some of the stuff in there. So if you're familiar with the regular structure decks or starter decks that come out, these do very similar to that. We're going to get a board of a bunch of tokens. Now, these are actually like solid chitlet board, like board game style. So these are a little bit thicker, a little bit more durable than the ones that come in the set, which are just made of the dividers. But we have, of course, all our -1s, our -3, and our -5s for showing our damage. Then we get little board game miniatures up here too. So we have Mickey and Stitch, and on the back side we have their counterparts of Maleficent and Elsa. And you'll kind of see, as I said, this is playing more like a board game. Here's the big board game element of it. We get an actual board. So instead of just having a piece of paper explaining, you lay down, we actually get a full, durable board game board. In the middle, we have our lore meter, 0 up to 20. And we have, each side of the board is going to have the information on how to play, which is, again, this is really cool. So it has cards in play spot, explaining what you do there, your inkwell, on your turn stuff, your deck, your discard. Again, explaining this for, again, people that might not know how the game is played. Now, what's also neat is on the back, they could have just made this black and left it, but they just kind of made a big Lorcana nebulous space. So after you play a bunch, you could always flip it over and do that. Then in the actual box, this is what we get. We're going to get 2 starter decks, which do say, do not shuffle. They are meant to be played for learning purposes. You can kind of see on the back, we have like an Anna and the Winnie the Pooh as some of our cards. We see they have stuff up through set 4 at least. I don't know if they have through set 5. I haven't looked at them, obviously. They're still sleeved. Over here is the other fun part, is we have the gateway packs, or the guide packs. So yeah, we have 18 cards in each of these packs. So there is some for each deck. They have 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you play through the games, going through the guidebook, it'll explain when to open these up and add them to your decks. But that's, again, is kind of a neat thing. I'm really hoping that one card in here, like maybe on this side, explains what's in this pack. So you could take this out. So if you ever wanted to reteach it, that would be really fun. Then the last thing we have are 2 standees. And if we drop these out, these are for our, go back to our chitlet board. We pop these 2 guys out. That is for these 2 guys to stand on, so that when you're playing on your actual board, scooch this board back, you use them to keep track of your lore. So that's a really neat, again, it adds that little bit of a board game element to it, versus maybe a little counter on there, or you each having your own thing, because now you kind of see it's like, oh, it's a race against with each other to see who can get to the end of the thing, instead of each person maybe having their own counter. And that just has the double-sided character, doesn't matter there. But that's a really neat little idea. It'd be kind of cool if, like, future decks added, extra little stands like that too. That'd be kind of cool. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look through the rule book, kind of just do a glance through it. I'm not gonna maybe read every single little part. This isn't necessarily a how to play video. It's more to show off what's in this box. But we'll kind of do a brief overview of it. I want to go into the guidebook and kind of show off some of that. Again, I might not read every single piece of it. Just again to show off what it's about. But then we will go through all the cards. And when we do, I will make sure I remind you guys, spoilers, especially for these, in case you don't want to know what's in there. Although some of it, you're going to see some of the cards we're going through the stuff. So yeah, if we look through the rule book, it's going to go through and do all your basic stuff. So it's going to explain what the game is. As an Illuminator, the wondrous realm of Lorcana, you'll wield magical ink to summon new versions of Disney characters called Glimmers. These Glimmers, some familiar, some fantastic, will help you race across Lorcana to find and collect missing pieces of lore. Endless adventure awaits. That's just telling you how to play the game. So yeah, important not opening any cards until instructed, because again, it wants you to, follow through and you're going to learn how to play. So each game will be on a 30-card deck, and by the end, you'll have a 66-card deck each. You can also scan the codes various ways and have an extra link for a guidebook, including other concepts you haven't unlocked yet. So just explaining, each player picks a game, picks one of the 2 decks, figure out how you want to do it, take your different deck tip things, and get that. You can set aside your opponent, face deck down, put your characters in a space. This is just your basic step. Now you're going to each draw your starting hand. It does re-show you which ones they are. So each person will have the same number of same hands at the beginning of the game. And now after your first game, if you're playing your second, third, fourth, playing through this guide or kind of like mini campaign, I suppose, you don't have to start with the starting hand. If you choose to, you can always reset your hand like this. That way you know, hey, these are exact cards I need for my starting hand. So yeah, it's very interesting there. Also worth noting is on here, so if you look at this, just because it's nice to know if you have inkable or non-inkable cards, they have 1 card in each deck that is not inkable. So everything else can be played. And do the cards necessarily match numbers? We have a 5 and a 5. We have a 4 and a 4. We have a 3 and a 3. We have a 2 and a 2 and a 1 1. So yeah, everyone starts with the same cost number, but it doesn't mean all the stuff are exactly the same, because there's a 4-6 challenge and willpower, or strength and challenge and willpower, 3-4, 1-3, and there's some 3-3, 5-5. So again, it's not going to be even, but that's how the decks are, right? They're not going to 100% be even. You're also going to notice all characters except for one action card each, so they didn't overload you with action cards off your first turn either. It's very interesting. And then the game goes through and explains all your card types. So of course we have our characters. You'll send glimmers on quests for lore and get challenges. Some have special abilities that help you in the game. And then we have actions. Actions give you immediate one-time advantage and then discarded. And you notice they're not worrying about like, the collectible aspect. They're not explaining what the lore or the rarities are and the numbers and all that stuff, because none of that generally matters. And then they just explain the breakdown of your card, of course. Costs up in the top corner, which is in a hex, and then there's a little swirl around it. It's ink well, so you can use it to ink. Name, ink type, this is color, classifications, abilities, all that fun stuff there. And then it goes into playing the game. Again, I'm not going through all this, but of course we have our main steps. Ready, set, draw, ink, act. In an act, you can play a card from your hand or exert a character for questing for lore or challenge your opponent. Note, each character can quest or challenge. A character might quest and another might challenge. And that's just what are exerted cards, just showing you there's a symbol for exerted for turning them sideways. How to play Inkwell. You can put a card from your hand or Inkwell once each turn. You don't have to add a card every turn, but the more ink you have, the more cards you're able to play. There's no limit to the number you can play. I always play face down. No one can look at them, even you, for the rest of the game. Nothing in the front matters, including its cost. It's simply ink. Every card represents one ink. That is a good thing to remember for maybe even just some later players. But the other thing I also mention is to add a card to Inkwell, you show it to your opponent, put it face down. And you might be like, if it doesn't matter what's on the bottom, why do I have to show someone? And that's to prove more or less that it's an inkable card. Obviously, if you're familiar with the game, you're going to know there are cards that let you just put other cards in there face down without having to look at, because they might be uninkable cards. And that's fine, because any effect from the card overrides the general rules. But it's so you can't just cheat whatever cards out you want. And it just reminds you, if you can't decide what to play your higher cost first and then later play your lower ones. So yeah, it's really teaching you how to kind of play everything. How to play a card for exerting ink. Don't be shy about using all your ink on every turn. You'll ready those cards, turn them up right at the start of your next turn so you can use that ink again. It seems kind of weird reading through some of this as someone who's been playing card games like for my entire life. But it's good to remember, you're teaching this to somebody new. They might not realize that like stuff automatically is ready to go the next turn, and things like that. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like some of the stuff that you might think, especially even just if this is your first card game that you've been playing for the last year or two since it came out, is that you're familiar with these rules. The other person you're playing with might not have any idea, never played a card game. I know a lot of people are using this to teach their significant others or children how to play. So you gotta remember, some of this stuff might not be just automatically familiar. Showing how you can quest guys to get your stuff. Using abilities on your characters. Don't have ink cost, can be used during your turn. Can only affect cards in play. Except for some say when, whenever, things like that. So it shows a character. You gotta choose what character it affects. It can be one of your characters or one of your opponent's characters. Unless specified otherwise. If it says choosing exerted character, you must choose a character that's already exerted. Your deck tip has more tips about abilities in your starter deck. Take Look now to see what cards are featured, then go back to read the details when you're thinking about playing one of them. So it says, hey, ready to jump in? Try a couple of turns right now. Focus on adding cards to your inkwell by playing a character. Then once the ink is dry, try questing that character. It's okay if you make a mistake. So what's also neat about this is it's showing the cards that are in your starting hand. So the idea is deal up your deck. Give each player your starting hand. Even just maybe play them straight up on the table your first game. Other player can see them. That's fine. It's a learning game. That way you can help point other stuff. But this is, you can kind of show like, oh, this person does this person does this. Like, he has this ability. And you can kind of walk through each of these sort of effects at the same time. Then it explains how challenging works. Again, you can't challenge a ready upright character. This is a very important fact. I wish they would have pushed a little bit more in here, or at least made more mention of. They kind of do down here. It says challenging an opposing character might be a good move if your character will be banished. If your opponent's character can gain lore quickly, has powerful effect, get rid of them. But it's also with wording, because like, if you challenge and your character survives, they're ready to be attacked. If you quest for lore, they're ready to be attacked. If you use an exert ability, they're ready to be attacked. So it's like using any of this stuff puts your character in that point of vulnerability. So it's kind of things you can't just be like, oh, well, I'll just play a bunch of characters and then exert them all. And the things, if you just sit there and hold all your characters back and don't do anything, your opponent's just going to beat you because they're going to keep doing stuff. So yes, occasionally you have to sacrifice yours to take out theirs. Yeah, so then it's explaining winning the game. First player reaches 20 wins. You're off your game going to be facing all the cards in your deck. Just play again. So this is even saying you might want to play a few games before you jump to the next step. So there's everything you need to know. Once you finish the Disney Lorcana game, it's time to explore the realm, unlock some mysteries. When you're ready to play again, set up a new game, follow instructions below. Collect all your cards from your player area, your deck, discard inkwell hand, shuffle them together, form a new deck. Then set up a new game, open the guidebook. So it says after the first time, you really shouldn't keep them 7 starting hands. But again, if maybe the second game, if that makes the player feel more comfortable to learn, that's not a bad thing to do either. Again, play to learn. Make sure you don't have cards from your deck in the color behind the card name. Stitch and Maleficent get yellow and purple. Elsa and Mickey get blue and red. And then they have some official rules added in here. The gateway used some simplified rules to make learning easier. Once you're comfortable with the game, you might want to use some of the notes below as part of the official rules. Altering your starting hand before the game begins. Each player can alter their starting hand once, beginning with the first player. Usually does this if they don't have many cards with inkwell or too many high costs. To do this, put any number of cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck without revealing them. Draw if you have 7, again, reshuffle your deck. Ink and act. Steps 4 or 5 in the turn are combined in what's called the main phase. This means you don't have to add ink before doing anything else. You can add it later in your turn, such as after playing cards. So again, this is kind of important because if there are some card games out there that say you have to play your energy, mana, resource, whatever, at a certain point in the game. If you don't play it then, you don't get to do it until either A, later in the turn, or B, you don't get all. Like, again, referencing Magic the Gathering is you get to play one, you play your land whenever you want. But there are some games you'll be like, you have to play your resource first, and then you don't get to play it again. But then it's also like Magic has step kind of in between. It's like your main phase, then you have an attack phase, and then you have another main phase type of thing. So, interesting. Cards on your deck you lose next time you draw a card and your opponent wins. Again, they don't think you're probably going to run out, but also remember you're only playing with the 30-card deck. So there's an index for that, some cool stuff there. Alright, so that's the basic rules. You guys are probably bored by now if you stuck around, thanks. Alright, so here's the guidebook. This is the really fun part about this. So it says, from now on, when you set up each game, open this guidebook, you see your goals. Read over the goals together before you start. They're still playing against each other, racing to 20, but you're also working together to complete goals to unlock gates. Each gate's goal focus on cards you have so far, giving you the opportunity to learn how to use new cards in an exciting way. If you complete goals, check it off. It's possible to complete multiple goals in one game, but some goals may take longer. You may want to keep count of the guidebook or use damage counter to track your progress. If the game ends before you check up all the goals, start on the same page of the guidebook next time you play. When you complete all the goals, finish the game you're playing, follow the page to open the gate. So before I go to the next page to start seeing what they are, there'll be spoilers for how this is unlocked. If you don't want to know and you like to see for yourself, you can skip or come back later. Before I jump into it. So basically this is kind of neat. So it says start the gate, complete all 4 goals. So the first one, quest with 3 or more characters on the same turn, challenge 3 or more opposing characters in a game, quest and challenge on the same turn, and have a hero and a villain in play at the same time. A character in play can be either side of the board, even if their ink is still drying. So it's neat because it's not player A does it and then they get card, player B does it, they get card. It's both of you working together. So play the game and then just kind of note that if you do this stuff, you guys unlock more cards. So it kind of just gives you some, it's trying to teach you to do this stuff in the game. Like, oh, we've played 2 games, but no one's bothered to play a hero and a villain at the same time. Or no one's quested with 3 characters on the same turn. Like, it's a little challenge to do. It's like maybe hold off and gain a couple of characters for a turn, then quest all. It kind of gives you, so you can see like, oh, instead of just earning 1 this turn, 1 this turn, 1 this turn, maybe you saved up and now you did 3 and you quested 3 and you got 3 on this turn. So it's kind of neat. Also, again, to make sure you're challenging and the fact you can do that stuff. So it says checked off all of them. All goals are complete. Check off the box on the right. Now, this is always a thing of whether you want to do it. If it's a one-time thing, do it, then it's reminded. If not, come back. And it's also fun the way this is done is, let's say for some reason you don't quest for 3 times on the first 3 characters at the same turn. Because you're still learning, you just haven't quite figured out how to do all that. Cool. So the next time you play, you come back, you do that, and then you play a second game. So granted, although there are 4 gates in here, you might only play 4 games to unlock everything. But depending on how you're learning or how people are playing, you might end up playing 6, 10 games. Just kind of depends on the learning curve. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point of a learning game. Open reward pack 1, look at the color behind the name, separate the cards in their deck, skip Maleficent to yellow, purple, making Elsa get blue and red. So each person gets to separate stuff. This is what I found was really fun about this. So then what it does is it opens up songs. So in the base game, you have characters and you have actions. You do not have any songs in your deck. So you have to play a little bit. Now it's adding this new card element. We already know how actions work, but now we get to learn how songs work. And then it says we have some more things here. So it says play 2 or more actions on the same turn. Remember, songs are also actions. Sing 2 or more songs in the game by exerting characters. Use a song to lower an opponent's strength. And use a song to draw a card. And now it could be 1 player has this card, 1 player has this card in their deck. It might not be both players can do that. So I'm saying you complete all of them, open pack 2, do the same thing, sort it out. And this is what's fun. Now we're going to add items and ability costs. So we didn't have any of these either. So again, they limited those cards. So now we're having a new type in here. I'm just going to mention that items come in. You can use them right away. And then some of them have costs, such as exerting or paying costs. And then we have to do is play 3 or more items in a game. Using item ability whose cost includes exerting them. Using item ability whose cost includes banishing them. And use the support ability to boost the character's strength. So that's really fun. And then we go to pack 3, gate 3, as we add Floodborn characters and shift. So again, they're not throwing this hard concept at someone right off the bat where they have to try and figure out how to use all these different things. And you just, pay less for the shift cost. So then we play 2 or more characters using shift abilities in the game. Gain 7 or more lore on the same turn. So that's fun, right? You have to plan for that. Have a hero character, an ally character, a villain character, and a Floodborn character all in the same time. Now again, this can be between both groups, so it's not 1 player that's trying to have all 4. But also, a Floodborn is going to be a hero, a villain, or an ally, most likely. It could possibly just be a mentor, but I think it's still going to be a hero or a villain. So just have both players sing songs by exerting characters, using items ability, and play characters using their shift ability in the game. So that one kind of makes it a little bit trickier. Then you do that, you open up pack 4, so the last pack. And then it just says, congratulations, Lumineers, you have completed the deck. There aren't any new card types in the last reward, just great cards to go around your deck. Standard deck has 60, you have 66, you can take out up to 6 cards. Try out different cards each time you play, discover what works best for you. That just mentioned you can buy new cards. Each Disney set has a name like Into the Inklands, but you can start with any of them. Best of all, you can mix cards from Disney Lorcana sets to your deck. Watch to play, league, and community stuff. And that's just showing off. We have all the different decks and packs you can buy, of course. And they're showing the first 3 in here. Yeah, so that's something. You really enjoy this. Like, oh, this is, you play this, taught someone, they really enjoy this game. Cool. Now you can go out and buy a starter deck, and you can be like, hey, you really like, this color. You like the yellow-purple. Pick up this deck. You're like, oh, I really like the yellow stuff, but I want to try something new. Well, here we have a yellow-blue or yellow-green. Like, right, I saw your blue. That was really neat. You could pick up that. What's this green color? Let me try that. So that's kind of fun. Or you could pick up some packs. I kind of wish they also included, like a pack, like 2 packs in here as well. That would have been kind of fun as well. To be like, here's the stuff that's built to go in these decks to make, like, a starter deck, and then added, like, a pack each. Because then you could have been like, okay, now I can open this up and see, like, what cards might get added into my deck. It might be kind of cool. That aren't necessarily designed to work with it. Just because I have a deck that does this doesn't mean every single yellow card's going to work with that deck. Or, I mean, you could get a Floodborn character for a character you don't have. Yes, you can play them, but they're not as efficient. So that's pretty cool. Alright. I'm not going to go into too much into the deck tip books. It's just kind of explaining, like, how to play. So if we have, like, the yellow-purple deck, it says, doing less damage for stuff. We have more strength with, like, support stuff. More lore, showing how you can get more lore on some of your characters. And then the cunning combination. And then this is... So this is just the starter deck list, the main one. So if you ever want to, again, pull this back out, you want to teach someone new, this is all you have to do to pull all these back out. And then in red and blue, we have more strength. We have cards giving more strength. We have stuff that can break some of the rules, like placing cards face down from your inkwell and stuff like that. More lore. Cards are going to give you more lore for doing stuff and more options. So, like, yeah, you can quest or challenge. She's always exerted. Gives you some extra things to do. And there's that deck list. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. We're going to look at the decks, and then we're going to hop into the unsealed packs. So we're on 1 sec. Alright, so we're going to go through this. You've seen all the other stuff. I don't believe there's any brand new cards that aren't in. Again, I haven't looked through them yet, but I don't believe there's any brand new cards that haven't been in any of the sets. These are going to be combined. I'm not going to read through every single effect on the card because I've done that in my previous games or videos. So you know, go check out if you want to see that stuff. I'll hold them up long enough for you to see what they are. We just want to see what's all actually in here. I'm looking at this. I'm like, where are the 7 cards from the set? They're on the, of course, they're on the top of the deck. So the back here just shows that. So yeah, as if I play these, I'm going to draw these from the back side so we can see what they are in that order. Also, a really fun thing to note about this is if you get this and you teach someone how to play and they learn the basics, another great gateway into making this kind of feel like a board game feel instead of just a versus card game would be getting the Ursula's Illuminator quest box, the Ursula's Return, because that has elements where, again, you're trying to compete like by beating a cooperative player, so you're working together. So here you're kind of working together, you're training, you're testing, unlocking new things, and then that one you can play through, and you're trying to beat Ursula, and then maybe even reward yourself. Again, buy some packs of cards and be like, hey, if we win, we finish this off everything, we unlock a full booster pack after we play a game. Cool, then we have some cards that. Then you pick up that has 2 more full decks in it. And then you maybe, like, each time you beat one of her challenges, add another pack of cards. And then you're kind of, like, rewarding yourself by building up more decks. And then eventually, hey, we're struggling. Well, now you have 2 decks from this, you have 2 decks from that game, plus you have maybe a couple of packs you've opened. And you can reward yourself and try and make better decks out of that. Might be a fun, cheap way to do it. Alright, so in this deck, we have Mickey Mouse Detective. It's going to be really fun for letting you get extra ink into the game. We have a Minnie Mouse. We have an Anna. Another hero in play, so she bonuses off them heroes. An Olaf. Who has the support. Of course, I didn't read what support does, but again, if you didn't know from playing this, whenever a character quests, you may add their challenge to another character's challenge. So him questing makes someone else be able to challenge better. Elsa. This is whenever you play a character named Anna, ready this character. So this helps her to quest and challenge in the same turn. Or she could quest or challenge and they let her unexert herself so she doesn't have to worry about being attacked. We have Rabbit. I wasn't counting how many cards that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have one more as our 7th card since our starting hand. So this Rabbit's pretty decent. And then we have our 1 action card, which is he's got a sword from Aladdin. Then the actual deck, we're going to get an Aurora, a Pascal. Let you look at your deck, kind of rearrange some stuff. Another Elsa. So this is our first duplicate, and this is a good thing I also mention in these games. Multiple characters of the same name are always helpful if they're good cards. A Rapunzel, we actually get a rare in here, that's fun. Again, works with Pascal, and also gains ward. Opponents can't choose them except to challenge. Webby Vanderquack. Hans. You play a princess or a queen, so set's kind of playing off that theming. Another Minnie. Another Webby. A Sisu. An Unda. Fela or Feli from Mulan. A Khan. We have Super Goof, who gets rushed. Characters can challenge the turn they're played. You normally have to wait that one turn. Character challenges another character, gains 2 lore, so he's going to gain more from challenging. Card Soldiers. Another Olaf. A Donald Duck. A Webby. I'm going to guess the base deck's all going to be commons and uncommons. Another Donald. Another Pascal. Another Aurora. So you see lots of these characters. Looks like there's about 2 of each for the most part. Some of them have 1, but nothing crazy. Unda, another Mickey, and finally an Anna. That is your base starter deck. You can kind of see what they're doing. Bonuses off of putting down extra cards for extra lore, so you can play cards more often. Get bonuses for having other specific types of cards, whether they're heroes, princesses, princesses, or like Anna, Elsa, or Rapunzel and Pascal. Those are your kind of bonuses you're getting there. And then in the Stitch Maleficent deck, we're going to start with a regular Mickey. Winnie the Pooh, who's of course a Dreamborn, which is really powerful. Daisy Duck. Stitch. So far we haven't had any special abilities on the starter deck cards, for the most part. We do get Merlin, who has Hippity Hop. When you play this character and he leaves play, you may draw a card, so giving you some hand support. And then I'm Stuck. Shows the exerted character can't ready at the start of their next turn. It just kind of blocks somebody from being able to do something. So our blue's getting a little bit of heads-up advantage of doing this and that stuff. Purple might be kind of trying to shut that back down. So then we get the regular decks. We have Stitch, Alien Dancer, Maleficent. When you play this character, you may draw a card. So although blue will be getting more ink to play more cards, purple looks like it's going to be letting you draw cards, so that way you have more options on what to do. Might not be able to play as many, but you have more options to pick what you want to deal with. We get Challenger 3. Well, Challenger's character gets 3 challenge. So basically they get bigger for attacking. Regular Stitch again. Christopher Robin. Whenever you read this character, if you have 2 or more other characters in play, gain 2 lore. So boosting up having a lot of characters out. And Olaf. Another Jafar. You can see this has a lot more villains in it. So it says, cast my spell. When you play this character, you may draw a card. So we got one challenge. We said you have a hero in play, have a villain in play. The blue-red deck, I think the only villain in there was Hans. So yeah, that players wouldn't be able to complete that challenge very easily by themselves. Pluto, you may play his character, move up to 3 damage. We have a healing character, which we haven't seen yet. The Wardrobe. Magissa Dispel. Rolly, who has support. We've seen that before. Another Daisy. A different Jafar. When you play this card, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put one on the top of your deck, the other at the bottom. So a little bit of deck manipulation. A good old Piglet. Magical Maid. Another one of those Jafars. Magissa Dispel. Stitch. Minnie. Piglet. Olaf. And Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so you get definitely a different feel from each different one. And then what's also fun is even if you're like, hey, we bought this game, we haven't bought anything else yet, you can always be like, hey, we get done, pull out all the, separate the deck into 4 colors, you can swap them around. See how red and purple work together and blue and yellow work together. Then switch around, see how red and yellow work together, how blue and purple work together. So you can play like, you know, like 6 different little decks you can make with just these couple of colors. Which is really cool. And then you could alternatively, even if you wanted to try a little bit more stuff, is try and go out and buy a deck. I don't know what deck would be. If there is a deck that is green, gray, emerald steel, if there is, you pick up one of those, and then you have all 6 colors, and you can mix and match all of them. Without having to go too crazy into it. Alright, so now we're going to go into major spoilers. Spoiler. We're going to look at what was in this pack. I'm just doing a quick look. There is not anything that says what is on there. So I don't know if this will stand us to a list to take us to see what's in there or not. So as of now, there's nothing that says what was in this deck. So you have to either keep track of that, or you're never going to be able to reset this back for starting over necessarily. But yeah, so let's see what's in each color. So in yellow, we're going to get a new Piglet, which is, look, we get a super rare. Isn't that cool? If you have 2 or other characters in play, just +2, so it works like Christopher Robin. We're going to get our first song. We added the songs in there. Part of your world. Return a character from your discard pile to your hand. The world's greatest criminal mind. Banish a chosen character with 5 or more. So that's cool. You learn how to banish guys. Lost in the woods. All opposing characters are -2 challenge to the start of your next turn. And Hakuna Matata. So this is kind of fun. We're getting a bunch of songs. We only had 1 action. In the starter set, in the starting hand, we had no other action in the deck. So now we're going to get a bunch of actions that are songs. This is again a healing one. I'm going to skip to the blue one, because that's the other half of the deck. How far I'll go. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Put 1 Inkwell. Seldom they all seem. Reducing characters challenge. We get a second copy of that. And then, of course, we get Let It Go. Put chosen character in their player's equal face down and exerted. So this is kind of neat where you might choose your opponent's character, right? It gives them an ink, but it stops them from being able to use that powerful character. They're like, oh, I played a 5-cost character. You can turn around and get rid of that character. Yes, they get an extra ink so they can play something big or play something again. But they lost that character permanently. Alright, so for the... Oh, I actually did do that wrong. Sorry, it was purple and yellow. Alright, whatever. We'll just look at the rest of them. I'll try and do it better next time. So we got another super rare here. We have Aerial Adventurous Collector. Inspiring Blaze. Whenever you play a song, choosing character gains evasive till the start of your next turn. Cool, so that's kind of neat. We get extra character. We have Teeth and Ambition, deals damage to characters. Rare card. You Can Fly, gains evasive, so you have a new keyword in there. Another You Can Fly and Go the Distance. Ready chosen character. And then in purple, we're going to get Friends on the Other Side. Let's you draw some cards. Another copy. Legend of the Sword and the Stone. Get Challenger +3, and then Reflection. So we get couple rares. We get some super rares in there, which are really cool. We get a bunch of songs. So each first gate is going to unlock one brand new character plus a bunch of extra actions. So that's really fun. Let's look at deck number 2. I should open this up ahead of time. Alright, so number 2, what are we going to get in there? So we have, they have these in the correct color order. I just was dumb and not thinking. Alright, so we're going to start off with Mickey. So we have support. They're going to have some new abilities in this one. We're also going to add the items. So we're going to add our first item in here. We have Record Player. This helps with character's name Stitch, count as having +1 to sing songs, so it works really well with the last one. And we get 2 copies of the Dingle Hopper for more healing. And we get a Lantern, which lets you pay 1 less for the next character you play this turn, so makes everything a little bit cheaper. In purple, we have a new Magician Dispel, who has an Exert ability. Return chosen item with a cost equal or less to this character's challenge to its player's hand. So this is a fun combination card to start with, right? Because you get return some of their hands. That means you have to spend time playing it again. But she only has 3. But you have these other cards where someone does support and they boost up her challenge, and now you can bounce a bigger card. We have the Rose Lantern, which has a cost in here as well. Moving damage counters around. Triton Staff, banishing an item. To get +1 for each card in your hand. And Ursula's Cauldron, the top 2 cards of your deck, so a little bit of deck playing around. And then in blue, we are going to get, for the other deck, we're going to get Belle, who has whenever this character quests, you pay 1 less next time, next item you play this turn. So it's going to help while you're item playing. We get 2 Scepters of Angarino, gain support. A Field of Ice, a very Elsa and a Frozen Heavy color. We get Resist 1. So we haven't seen Resist before. This is nice. It lets you reduce damage. And Ice Block, character gets -1 for the turn. In Red, we have Medallions and Weights, lets you boost up some characters. The Vital Spear. Ooh, this is neat. We haven't seen this one yet. Banish this item, they gain Rush and gain +2 attack. The Shield of Virtue, ready a character. And Sumerian Talisman. Whenever a character is banished in a challenge, you may draw a card. They're kind of like, Red lets you be a little bit more aggressive and push that way. So that's kind of fun. We got all those neat items in there, which do a bunch of different stuff. Like, again, but they're just reinforcing that. Purple's letting you draw cards, manipulate your deck. Yellow is letting you do support and healing. Blue is letting you play cards, get stuff out. And red's kind of being a little bit aggressive. Alright, so for deck number 3, pack number 3, we are going to get into the Floodborn. So we're going to start with Floodborn Pluto. So there's only a couple of Plutos in there, but that's neat. You have Shift 5, of course, you have Bodyguard. And you can remove some damage. We are also going to get Stitches, Floodborn with Shift 4. Lets you play characters a little bit cheaper. Nani, who has Bodyguards, we get 2 more copies of her. And then to make sure we can play Pluto, they're going to give us 2 more copies of the Pluto. So Friendly Pooch. This is then letting you play your cards cheaper. So this is kind of neat, because like early on we had Blue, which let you play more cards in your Inkwell. So basically you could play more cards. You might gain an advantage of having 3 ink when your opponent still only has 2, or whatever. This is kind of doing the same thing in reverse order. It's letting you get characters out and boost them up. We have a Madame Nim, who we haven't seen yet. We got a Rival of Merlin. Grim and Gruesome. Play a character that costs 4 or less for free. Then they gain rush. They're going to turn banish them. So they come in, do stuff, and then they have to leave. But we need some Madame Nim cards to go with her, so we get 2 copies of Snake. Let me play this character, banish her, or return another chosen character to your hand. She's just to come in, and either you have to return someone else because it's a higher cost stuff for cheaper, or you get rid of her. So that's that deck. It's kind of neat. In there, and we're getting some more super rares, which is really fun. We got Aurora, so you get more of her to go with the blue. We already had a couple of copies of her. Your other characters gain Ward. We're also getting Jasmine. Play this card. She quests move to 2 damage counters from each of your characters. So now we're getting, where I said, Pluto was giving, way to, play extra cards for cheaper, kind of like how Blue had that. Now Jasmine's giving the ability to heal, which Yellow basically had. We have Aurora, another copy there just in case we need it. We have an Olaf with Shift. This is actually a new mechanic they added in set 4, which is really cool. The discard an item. You discard an item instead of having to pay a cost, which is really fun. We're going to get 2 more Jasmines. I just realized this at the beginning of the set. This is between sets 5 and 6. This was after set 4 before set 5 came out. So we do have some of the newest cards out, which is really cool. I was thinking set 5 is being revealed right now, but I was thinking it was set 6 for some reason. Play a character with 1 damage. And then in Rag, we're going to get a mini with Shift, and she has Shift 2. We got a couple of copies of her, and then we're going to get 2 copies of Tigger. Yeah, so pretty cool. So I like that we're getting some new different characters. We're getting some of them shifts. And it was neat they didn't just add, 1 shift character in there and be like, okay, your deck is based around, Elsa. So, Elsa or Mickey. So, here's their shift card. That's it. They gave, 2 in each set? 3 in each one? I think they did 3 in each. Yeah, 3 in each. So that's really nice because it really lets you get that feeling for how shifting works. Because you have a bunch of cards that do it instead of, oh, I only got 1. Alright, then the last one. Doesn't add any new card types, but it's supposed to add some really fun extra cards. So let's see what we have in yellow. We have Bernard. Let me ready other chosen characters. We have Cogsworth. Lets you help out. I'm just going to kind of fly through some of these. Mr. Snoops. We got 2 copies of him. We have a new Minnie Mouse, which will work with... Now, again, the Minnie that shifted is in red, and this is in yellow. So if you ever mix these decks together, you could now use... If you made a yellow-red deck, you'd be able to use possibly both those Minis. together, which is really fun. Gives you another extra option there. Cobra Bubbles. In purple, we have Magnum Odie. It's going to let you, when you quest, you can move counters around, some more healing. We get another Magnum Nim. So you can use her for her shifting ability as well. And so same idea with hers. Whenever you play this character, banish her or return chosen characters to your hand. So the idea is just like with the movie, it's just to play one Magnum Nim and then you play the other one to bounce it. And you can keep bouncing them that way eventually. In blue, we have an Ana, a more powerful Ana with that super rare Ana. That's really cool. There's character quests and other heroes get +1. So it goes back to that hero thing we had early on. A new Maleficent, who was in purple before. So now we have one in blue. So again, if you end up getting a shifted version of her, which is not in this set, you could combine those together. Triton. Chief Tui, who has support. And then we did get a Gaston Floodborn, which I don't believe we have a Gaston in this set, so that's actually kind of neat, right? They're like, hey, here's a character that you might get you a reason to want to get that. And then finally in red, we have a Stitch, which we already just said. We have Stitch in yellow, but not in red. So again, you mix red and yellow, now you have minis and Stitches, which can work together. Nesius. Got 2 of him. And the last one is we actually get a new action card. Dragonfire, banish chosen character. So that is what we have for those. So a bunch of super rares in there, which is really cool. Bunch of regular rares. The board is really cool. I like that idea. Again, where it says on the board what you can do, and like as a reminder, so your deck says place your deck here face down, discard, put action cards you play your face up, and character banished here. Cards in play, put characters you play here face up. They can't quest, challenge, or be exerted until your next turn. You must wait for their ink to dry. Put cards in your ink here face down. They must have the little circle around them cost. Each card gives you 1. Then just a reminder, plus what the symbols mean, which is really helpful. If there's anything I would have said I would have liked, would have maybe been, this is nice. I would have liked a, even if it's on the back of one of these books, it would have been nice to have a little, like, reminder of what all the cards do. I do get that most of them all have the support. That says it right on there. But what would be nice is to have those just on, like, a little reference card would have been cool, but even on the back of the book would have been nice. Just for the fact that your card says ward or support. I don't have any cards on my side of the table that say that. So it would have been nice to be able to, like, oh, your character has ward, and I don't have to try and read the extra text upside down. I just look at my sheet and be like, yeah, my card has ward. And oh, okay, ward says this. So I kind of wish I had done that. One last thing I did want to point out, just remember this. When playing your cards, they do recommend, to show their ink isn't dry yet, slide them slightly towards their inkwell, like the example to the right. So it says, play Ana, use your 2 ink, put Ana your player, slightly below the other characters you played previous turns. This is a good thing to play. So you play up in the little field there, if they're ready to play on that turn, so you know you can exert them and this and that. Some people, I think, just would probably place them off to the side. And move them out of the way. If you're familiar with like Magic, they come into play. You just have them play. You set them off to the side, so you know you can't use them right away. But sometimes this kind of makes it a little bit easier. Just play them down slightly. Cool. So that's what we have for the Lorcana Gateway box. Really fun, really good way to, I think, teach the game. Couple of things I think they could have improved on it, but I think for what it is really fantastic. Like I said, I would have liked the little tooltip cards. I think having an actual booster pack in each one would have been kind of nice. Just because then you could see some other random cards that don't necessarily fit into these themings. Because again, even though this purple does this or this blue does this, we get some cards that work, but they kind of had to make them all kind of work together. and generally colors do, but you also gotta see what the other two colors did. Alternatively, they could have had like a pack 5 that just had cards from the other two colors. That would have been interesting as well too, because it kind of would have been like, oh, I don't own any other stuff, but I'd like to maybe buy some. We just see what the other colors maybe get an idea after you know how the game is played. But yeah, otherwise some really cool stuff. I like the thicker cardboard. Adding to the deck thing is really neat. Adding new card elements is really neat. I mean, if somebody taught me how to play Magic that way, like, here's your basic cards that just do attack stuff. And then here's sorcery cards, which you play on your turn, right? And then next time you play, okay, now we're gonna add instances into the game. These can be played on your opponent's turn. Then later we add artifacts. These can be played, but these are like items. They stick on your board. And they would have kind of added that in that way. And then maybe if you're trying to teach someone maybe how to play something like Commander, then like after all that you add the Commander rule, or you add legendary characters later, characters that when they come into play you can only have one copy, or Planeswalkers. If you add them slowly, instead of most Magic games, they just throw you into a full deck of cards. Learn from the beginning, you're going to pull out cards that you're not going to have any idea what they do, and people are like, okay, just ignore all the text. That's easy enough to say, but I do get it. And these don't, like, 100% baby you. They don't put out, like, blank cards that only have just the, like, attack on them, and then you play another thing. Oh, now they have just challenge, you know. So it is fun. They have keywords right off the bat and special abilities, but they don't lean too hard into everything. And this would be a great way. Play the gateway, follow it up maybe. I know Ursula's Lumineer quest can get very difficult, because it does have harder challenges, but it would be a neat way to get a second deck of cards for each player, while giving you something else to kind of play towards. And again, you know, make someone that's not a competitive gamer feel like they have something else to do. The only problem is that after that, then you just have to play games against each other. Yes, this is really fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys later. Bye.